Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. So I'm so late to this. Ali Dawah, Muhammad Hijab, and the Warner bro. Warner bro. Okay. Went on a live fundraiser with Sneako and discussed how to find a wife. This was in Ramadan, so I'm very late to this. I've been meaning to watch it for a while. I just forgot. And then it just popped back up in the algorithm. And I got ready to sit down and watch it. And when I watch something, I usually scroll down the comment sections while the video's starting up. And it's a long video. So I thought I'd see what's the most replayed moment, what's the most popular moment on the video. And for some reason, I was surprised when every single comment seemingly was disgusted by one moment in the 1.5 hour long video. And someone left a timestamp. So I clicked it. So as soon as I saw this, I searched YouTube to find a clarification from the panel, and I am surprised that there wasn't at least a reply in the comment sections, since that's all the comment section is about. But then again, I found two videos, alhamdulillah, the brothers actually explained it very well, correcting Sneako's statements. But the reason I make a video is there's just one thing, one example that I think would have been perfect, which is the story of Asiyah. May Allah be pleased with her, which is the wife of Pharaoh, as described in the Quran. Her story is perfect to counter his argument. And again, this is just a statement made by Sneako. I'm not here to be like, or condemn him or anything. No, this is just, inshallah, he watches this and then he may learn from it. And he may explain any misunderstandings that other Muslims may have as well from what they saw in the video. So let's watch the video now, inshallah, and let me see what happens.
I don't even think
I'm setting up the Zoom call right now. You know,
I don't even think women would find Islam without a man anyway. I think they would only do it really for a man. I don't think that women can have a connection to God without a man explaining it to her.
I don't. You had the man who's the Prophet Muhammad explaining it to.
Yeah, like would a woman really pick up the Quran and take her shahada on her own ever? That's
unless she's been through some traumatic experiences.
Yeah. What do you mean? Like in generally, yeah, they can. Like, what do you mean? Like, can a woman come to Islam without a man? Do you mean?
Well, according to the statistics, more women are coming to Islam than men. I don't know if you know that.
Really.
For every man, there's 4 women.
But what you're saying is right, because that's the reason why a Muslim woman cannot marry a Christian or a Jew or Hindu. But we are allowed to marry a Christian or a Jew
because they're going to become Muslim.
Exactly, because we have the influence. A woman can be easily influenced.
But even these women that are taking their shahadas, they're still being led by sheikhs. They're still being led by the men who are explaining it to them. They're never going to find God without a man.
Yeah,
because it's true in a sense because we've got prophets, they're all men.
No. But is he speaking from that angle, like from men?
The reason I bring it up is because you're asking what
you mean, like they need some kind of a masculine guidance.
Yeah, they need masculine guidance. And you're asking like, would I accept a woman if she said that she wanted to become a Muslim to be in a relationship? I hear that like quite a bit, but I don't take any of it seriously because as soon as I say no, they lose interest in Islam. So their whole interest in Islam is just because they want a relationship.
Yeah. So yeah, inshallah, I think we'll find you, man. Yeah. You know what you need to do? Go for like even like my wife. My wife is not a fan.
We're gonna send the CVs, the marriage CVs.
Marriage CVs. Send.
Okay. Here's the thing. I just went through the entire video instead of going through it bit by bit because the other two brothers, just go check the videos. I do not want to regurgitate what they already said. I want to add upon what they feel like they may have missed out. And may Allah bless them for those videos. Go check them out in the description below. The first part, I don't really agree with anything statement said in the beginning part beside the statistical facts that 4 women convert to Islam for every 1 man. I mean, 4 women for 1 man. I believe, especially based off of Ali's statement, not a single one of those brothers agrees with what Sneako said. Not to give them an excuse, but look, this is 4 mates, basically, let's just say mates, chilling and sitting down and having a conversation. It's been 1.5 hours, and then one of your mates brings up the most random point that you could think of, and you kind of want to explain it to him, but at the same time, you just banter and brush past it while giving him a very simple explanation because you know he's not trying to insult any woman, but at the same time, obviously, he came up a bit weird, but he's your mate and you understand him. That's fine when you're chilling with your guys. That's kind of an issue when You're posting this for millions to see online on a public platform, and currently there's been 195,000 views, and it's also the very last thing that you would see in the video. So I get why that's all everyone seems to leave with, because it kind of ends the entire discussion on a very bad taste. So to cover some points very briefly before I get to the main thing. So the one who guides is ultimately Allah Azza wa Jal, and all we humans can really do is just relay a message. We can't inspire true change in someone. Only Allah can. Allah is muqallib al-qulub. He's the turner or flipper of hearts, and only He can inspire sincere change. But you still have free will. So Allah will only change the condition of a person once He changes the condition of Himself. So you still have to seek the truth and you have to want the truth. That's where we have free will. So even though Allah is the one that truly has the ability to guide someone, you still have to want to seek it out. And yes, a man can marry from Ahlul Kitab, as he does have more influence if he's a real man. If he actually has the last say in his relationship and is respected in his household. However, is that even possible in today's society in the West, if you're not living in a Islamic ruled society? Is a question for another time. But the point of influence, again, we can influence, but Allah is the one who ultimately guides. And all of us have a sheikh, all of us have a shuyukh. I have ustad. There's certain rulings that I follow simply because I'm a layman and I need their guidance. Everyone is inspired by someone. And yes, the prophets of Allah came to all of mankind. Prophet ﷺ is the rahmatul lil alameen, a mercy for all of mankind. But your connection with Allah is not restricted in any way. It's a direct connection. All you need to do is be sincere and ask. Simple. And women saying they'll marry you and become Muslim for your sake, obviously, that's a very specific example. And no, not every woman on earth is doing this. And then again, if they're saying that explicitly, I'll become Muslim for you, of course, then that's a mistake. If they want to marry you and they say, I'll become Muslim, okay, fine, we can't really judge. Basically, if someone says they want to marry you, even if it's a man who says, I like this girl and I want to marry her and I'm going to become Muslim, you can't judge that anyway. But if they're saying it the way you're saying it, where they explicitly say, I'll become a Muslim for you, yeah, of course there's an issue there. But again, that is those specific women in Miami. Like, come on, that's not all Muslim women. This is the main point that I want to cover.
I don't think that women can have a connection to God without a man explaining it to her.
Let me introduce you to Asiyah, wife of the Pharaoh as described to us by Allah in the Quran. She had the perfect life. Nobility, riches, status, and ease, comfort. Anything she wanted was given to her. She was basically a princess. And she married the most powerful man on earth at the time, as far as we know. She had the greatest influence as her husband, who was the Pharaoh, who claimed godhood. Yeah, he claimed divinity, he claimed to control life and death, and everyone feared him. She had the ultimate male influence, and there was no reason to doubt it. Influence in a negative way. However, when Musa alayhi salam came and gave his message, she accepted it, but kept it a secret. Obviously, our fear and many other people did too. But he wasn't there to take care of her. He wasn't there to protect her. Musa alayhi salam left. She was alone. So then what inspired her to then be firm in her faith? It was actually another woman who we know as the hairdresser, no name given, the hairdresser of the daughter of Pharaoh, the daughter from another wife or concubine, because Asiyah could not have children. The story, very briefly, goes as such. The hairdresser was combing the hair of the daughter of Pharaoh. She dropped the comb, and upon picking it up, she said, Bismillah. And obviously, which means in the name of Allah. The daughter said, as in, my father. The God, the Lord, Al-Ilah. He said, no. My Lord, your Lord, and the Lord of your father. And in one narration, the daughter slapped her, but in the end, she basically went and told her father. Her father, obviously enraged, chained her up, tortured her, tied her up, tortured her, and said, do you take back what you said? She said, no. So they brought her children in front of her with a giant pot of burning copper. The story says Baqarah, but there's one explanation that says it's not just a statue of a cow made of copper melted down. It's also Baqarah could mean a giant pot. But either way, it was a pot of boiling copper. One by one, he threw her children in, and they died burning and screaming, and she stayed firm until the last one, which was her baby, an infant. She looked at him and she hesitated. How can I throw my baby? to burn in front of me. Then Allah inspired through His divine might the child to speak. This is one of the 4 times where we are aware where an infant spoke, just like Isa alayhi salam. And she did. And the reason we have this story, which I did brush through, was because the Prophet ﷺ, when he went on Isra al-Mi'raj, when he went to Jannah, and he smelt a scent that was so beautiful, and he asked the angel Gabriel, what is this? He said, it's the scent of the hairdresser of Pharaoh, of Pharaoh's daughter, and then relayed the story to him. Now, upon seeing this bravery, Asiyah stood firm in her religion and said, if she can do this, so can I. And then she stood against Fir'aun and said, I do not believe in you, I reject you, and I believe in Allah and the message of Musa. He looked upon her and said, do you know what I'm going to do to you? She said, yes, but I don't care. The most horrific acts of torture were done upon her. This was his wife. He stripped her naked and took her out in public and beat her and lashed her with himself, his soldiers, his other wives and concubines. The women who were insulting and ridiculing her, covered in blood, nude, in public, humiliated and shamed and beaten and lashed. She still stayed firm, and then when they would leave her in the hot sun, the angels would shroud her. And then, despite going through so much hardship, she asked Allah, my Lord, build me a house in paradise near you. Deliver me from Pharaoh and his evil doings, and save me from the wrongdoing people. Upon saying this, she looked up and Allah showed her her reward in Jannah. She smiled. The Pharaoh saw this, and even saying it, he looked to his soldiers and everyone said, look at the insanity of this woman. She's crazy. She smiles. And he couldn't take it. So he ordered her to be killed, and before she could be crushed by a stone, her soul was taken by Allah. These 2 stories go directly against every statement made by Sneako and his comments. And I hope we can take from this and learn from it, inshallah. And the most important lesson we can take from this is that Allah says that He sets forth an example for the believers. The wife of Pharaoh who prayed, my Lord, build me a house in paradise near you. Deliver me from Pharaoh and his evil doings, and save me from the wrongdoing people. Asiyah, may Allah be pleased with her, has been used as an example for all of time for her bravery and incredible devotion to the truth. And she's one of the 2 women described by Abu Musa al-Ashari. As the Prophet ﷺ said, the men who attain perfection are many, but there are no women who have attained perfection apart from Asiyah, the wife of Pharaoh, and Maryam bin Ibrahim. And the superiority of Aisha over all other women is like the superiority of Sarid over all other foods. So I hope that clears up any confusion that may have come from what they said and they talked about on the live stream. And look, for all you lot insulting Sneako directly, from what I've seen, from a limited research of him, he seems like one of the most sincere reverts who has high influence in the public sphere than I've ever seen ever, because he's actually used his resources to meet credible da'is. He wants to see scholars, he wants to discuss, and he wants to learn. Of course, I do feel that he should have been corrected properly. Or again, that's why I made this video, and the other 2 brothers made the videos. Please check them out before you actually watch mine. And I hope this cleared it up for you. Assalamu alaikum.